Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're talking about something that a lot of people experience but hardly anyone talks about: high-functioning anxiety. You know, when you seem to be doing fine on the outside, perhaps even excelling, but inside your mind is running a mile a minute, a relentless hamster wheel of worries, to-do lists, and worst-case scenarios. Sound familiar? It's like you're the lead in a play where everyone praises your performance, but backstage you're frantically trying to keep the entire set from collapsing, all while smiling. This internal state, this constant hum of apprehension and pressure, can be incredibly isolating precisely because it's so often invisible to the outside world. You might look like you have it all together, a paragon of productivity and calm, while internally you're navigating a labyrinth of self-doubt and an unceasing urge to do more, be better, prepare for every conceivable pitfall. It's a strange paradox, being lauded for traits that are, in fact, fueled by a deep-seated anxiety. It's exhausting, isn't it? This quiet battle waged within the confines of your own mind. So, let's talk about what high-functioning anxiety really means, beyond the surface-level descriptions. We'll explore how to spot the often subtle signs, not just in others but perhaps more importantly in ourselves. And crucially, we'll discuss what you can actually do to cope, to find a bit more peace in the relentless storm, and to understand that your worth isn't solely defined by your output or your ability to appear unfazed. Because you deserve to feel as good on the inside as you might appear on the outside. So, what exactly this thing we call high-functioning anxiety? It's important to note right off the bat that it isn't a formal clinical diagnosis you'll find in the DSM-5. You can't get a prescription for high-functioning anxiety pills, but its lack of official diagnostic status doesn't make the experience any less real or, frankly, any less debilitating for the millions who live it daily. It's a label we use to describe a specific and increasingly common way that anxiety manifests, often hidden behind a veneer of success and capability, which is part of what makes it so tricky. The high-functioning part is key here. People experiencing this often excel in their careers, maintain active social lives, and appear incredibly put together. They're the ones hitting deadlines, organizing the group projects, remembering birthdays, and generally seeming like they have their lives in perfect order. From the outside, they might even be seen as exceptionally driven, ambitious, and reliable. And in many ways they are. Their anxiety, perversely, can fuel a certain kind of productivity, a relentless pursuit of accomplishment that society often rewards with praise and opportunities. But beneath that polished surface, there's a constant churning internal monologue of worry. It's a persistent hum of what if? What if I fail this project? What if I disappoint someone? What if I'm not good enough? What if I miss something crucial? This isn't just occasional stress, it's a baseline state of being, a lens through which the world is often viewed. It's like having an internal alarm system that's perpetually set to high alert even when there's no immediate, discernible threat in the vicinity. Perfectionism is almost invariably a close companion to high-functioning anxiety. The standards set are often impossibly high, not just for big projects but for everyday tasks. There's a profound fear of making mistakes because a mistake isn't just a mistake, it's often internalized as evidence of inadequacy or impending failure. This drive for flawlessness can lead to meticulous work, yes, but also to procrastination born from the fear of not meeting those self-imposed, sky-high expectations, and an inability to ever truly feel satisfied with one's efforts. Then there's the overthinking. Oh, the overthinking. A simple decision like what to have for lunch or how to phrase an email can become a monumental cognitive task, dissected from every conceivable angle. Past conversations are replayed ad nauseum, searching for hidden meanings or missteps. Future scenarios are rehearsed with multiple contingency plans for things that will likely never happen. Recognizing the signs of high-functioning anxiety can be like trying to read invisible ink. The messages are there, but they're not always immediately apparent, especially to an outside observer, or even sometimes to ourselves. We become so accustomed to our internal landscape that we might not realize it's more turbulent than it needs to be. So let's illuminate some of those subtle and not so subtle indicators that you might be navigating this particular brand of anxiety. First and foremost, as we touched upon, is the relentless overthinking. This isn't just thoughtful consideration. It's a mind that seems to have no off switch. You might find yourself replaying conversations from days or even weeks ago, scrutinizing every word, every nuance, wondering if you said the wrong thing or if someone was upset with you. Small decisions can feel disproportionately weighty, leading to decision paralysis or an exhaustive pro and con listing for even minor choices. Your mind is constantly on, analyzing, predicting, and often catastrophizing. This leads directly to difficulty relaxing, truly, deeply relaxing. Even when you're technically off duty on vacation during a quiet evening at home, there's an underlying restlessness, a feeling that you be doing something productive. The idea of simply being without doing can feel alien, almost irresponsible. You might sit down to watch a movie, but your mind is already drafting emails or planning the next day's tasks. Leisure activities might even become another item on the to-do list, another thing to optimize or achieve. The physical manifestations of this inability to switch off are also common. You might experience persistent muscle tension, particularly in the neck and shoulders, or frequent headaches. Restlessness can show up as fidgeting, an inability to sit still, or a constant need to be moving or engaged in some activity. It's as if your body is mirroring the internal agitation, unable to find a state of genuine calm even when the external circumstances might allow for it. This isn't just about being energetic, it's about an undercurrent of nervous energy. A significant sign is tying your self-worth almost exclusively to your productivity or achievements. Your value as a person becomes inextricably linked to what you accomplish, how much you get done, or how successful you appear to be. A day where you weren't productive can lead to feelings of guilt, anxiety, or even worthlessness. The internal mantra becomes, "I am what I achieve," and the fear of not achieving, of being seen as lazy or incompetent, is a powerful and often painful driver of behavior. Then there's the profound fear of letting people down or being judged negatively. One of the most perplexing and frankly frustrating aspects of high-functioning anxiety is why it so often goes unnoticed. You'd think something that causes such internal turmoil would be more obvious, but it frequently wears an incredibly effective disguise, the camouflage of competence. It hides in plain sight, often mistaken for ambition, diligence, or simply a strong work ethic, which makes it incredibly difficult to spot, both for onlookers and, crucially, for the person experiencing it. The core of the issue lies in a societal paradox. Many of the behaviors driven by high-functioning anxiety are not only accepted but actively rewarded. Think about it. Who gets praised at work? The person who always meets deadlines, who volunteers for extra tasks, who seems incredibly organized and on top of everything. These are often the very individuals who are internally battling a relentless need for control, a fear of failure, and an inability to switch off. Our culture often valorizes overwork and relentless productivity. This societal reinforcement creates a powerful feedback loop. You're seen as reliable, hardworking, and organized. People might even say things like, "I wish I had your drive," or "You're so disciplined, how do you do it?" This admiration, while well-intentioned, can inadvertently validate the anxiety-driven behaviors. It makes it harder to question whether this way of operating is truly healthy or sustainable when the external world seems to be giving you a gold star for it. The functioning part overshadows the anxiety part. What remains unseen, of course, is the immense internal cost. No one sees the panic attack that hits at 2 a.m. as you worry about a presentation, or the hours spent rechecking work for minuscule errors that no one else would even notice. They don't feel the knot in your stomach before every important meeting, or the constant low-level hum of apprehension that accompanies even mundane tasks. The successful outcomes are visible. The internal struggle to achieve them is not. The physical toll also tends to fly under the radar or gets misattributed, those persistent tension headaches. "Oh, I just need more coffee," or "it's just stress from work." The good news, and there is genuinely good news here, is that you don't have to just deal with high-functioning anxiety. It's not a life sentence of internal overdrive and quiet desperation. There are concrete, actionable ways to manage these feelings, to dial down the intensity, and to begin a process of healing and reclaiming your inner landscape. It's about learning new tools, and perhaps more importantly, new ways of relating to yourself and your thoughts. This isn't about eliminating anxiety entirely. A certain amount is a normal human experience, but about preventing it from running your life. The first crucial step often involves learning to slow down your nervous system. When you're in a state of high-functioning anxiety, your sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response, is often chronically activated. So we need to consciously engage the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response. Deep breathing exercises are incredibly powerful for this. Simple techniques like box breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, or diaphragmatic breathing can, with practice, signal to your body that it's safe to relax. Beyond breathing, practices like meditation and grounding techniques can be profoundly helpful, and they don't need to be complicated or time-consuming. Even 5 or 10 minutes of daily mindfulness meditation, focusing on your breath or bodily sensations, can help create a little space between you and your anxious thoughts. Grounding techniques like noticing 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste, can pull you out of a spiral of worry and back into the present moment. Next up is the formidable task of challenging perfectionism. This is a big one for many with high-functioning anxiety. It involves consciously practicing the art of good enough rather than striving for an often unattainable and exhausting perfect. This might mean setting more realistic standards for yourself, allowing for imperfections, and reframing mistakes not as catastrophic failures but as opportunities for learning and growth. It's about recognizing that your worth is not tied to flawless execution. To practically challenge perfectionism, you could start small. Maybe you deliberately send an email with a tiny inconsequential typo, the horror. Or perhaps you allow yourself to submit a project that is 90% excellent, instead of pushing yourself to the brink for that extra 10% that no one but you would notice. Celebrate the effort and the completion, rather than fixating on any perceived shortcomings. It's about gradually loosening that iron grip of needing everything to be absolutely impeccable, which is a fast track to burnout. Setting boundaries is another cornerstone of managing high-functioning anxiety. This means learning to say no to requests that will overextend you, even if it feels uncomfortable or you fear disappointing someone. It means protecting your time and energy. Now, I want to get a little personal here because I think it's important to acknowledge that these aren't just abstract concepts for me. I've definitely had my own extended dance with this particular brand of overdrive, moments and even long stretches where, if you looked at my life from the outside, you might have thought, wow, he's really got it together, or he's so productive. And perhaps in terms of output, that was true. But the internal reality was often a very different story, a landscape far more turbulent than the calm surface might have suggested. I can recall specific periods, especially when juggling multiple large projects or facing significant deadlines, where I looked, and probably even sounded, completely calm and in control during meetings or public appearances. I could articulate plans, delegate tasks, and project an air of unruffled competence. But internally, my mind would be a whirlwind. I'd be running through endless worst-case scenarios, meticulously planning for contingencies that had a 0.01% chance of occurring, and feeling an immense pressure not to let anyone down, not to show any cracks in the facade. There were times when I was undeniably on the verge of burnout, though I might not have called it that then. It felt more like a profound, bone-deep weariness, a sense that my cognitive and emotional reserves were just gone. Sleep offered little respite, as my brain would often refuse to switch off, instead using the quiet hours to amplify worries or to meticulously review every interaction and decision of the day. The joy in my work, which is usually quite profound, would get overshadowed by the sheer weight of expectation, much of it self-imposed. For me, a significant turning point, or perhaps more accurately, the beginning of a series of turning points, came not as a sudden epiphany but as a slow, dawning realization that this way of operating wasn't sustainable. It was the recognition that the rewards of this high-functioning anxiety, the completed projects, the external validation, were coming at too high an internal price. There was a growing awareness that I was missing out on a sense of presence and peace in my own life, constantly striving for a future state of enough that never quite seemed to arrive. What truly began to help me, and it's something I still actively practice because it's not a one-and-done fix, was consciously, deliberately giving myself permission to rest. Soft outro music fades in. So that's a look into the often unseen world of high-functioning anxiety. It's a complex experience, one where external success can mask a significant internal struggle. But the key takeaway, I hope, is that understanding is the first step towards change. And that change is absolutely possible. You don't have to live in a state of constant overdrive, feeling like you're always one misstep away from disaster, even if the world praises your ability to juggle it all. If this video resonated with you, if you saw glimpses of your own experience in these descriptions, please know you're not alone. So many of us are navigating this, often in silence. But you don't have to earn your peace through relentless effort, or by achieving some impossible standard of perfection. You deserve it, exactly as you are, right now, in this moment. Your inherent worth isn't conditional on your productivity, or your ability to appear unfazed by the pressures of life. Let me know in the comments if any of this felt familiar, or if you have tools, strategies, or insights that help you manage anxiety, high functioning or otherwise. I genuinely love to hear from you, and your experiences can be incredibly helpful to others in this community. We learn so much from each other, and, as always, if you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and perhaps share this with someone who needs to hear that they're not the only one, and that there's hope for a calmer internal world.